The situation at Stellantis is, I think the technical term, a mess. You know, we have seen a real collapse of sales.
Carlos Tavares just broke his silence and shocked everyone. He is the CEO of one of the biggest car companies in the entire world, Stellantis. With so many brands under its name like Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Maserati, Peugeot, and Chrysler, Stellantis has to navigate a storm of issues. But the troubles they're experiencing have raised significant alarms about what the future holds for the entire automotive industry. So what did he say, and what are the implications of this? What's exactly happening? Well, brands under the Stellantis umbrella have been struggling, not just against competition, but also due to internal turmoil. And while they've made decisions that some might consider questionable, the situation is far more complicated than mere blunders. We might be past the point of no return when it comes to salvaging this giant of a company. The roots of this issue date back to the beginning of this company. Since its merger, this company has been struggling, and according to a lot of people, the main issue is poor management. And in light of criticisms regarding his management style and decisions, Tavares has maintained that his focus on profitability is essential for the company's long-term success. He has argued that the cost-cutting measures implemented are necessary to stabilize Stellantis in the middle of these market fluctuations. So what's wrong? The numbers tell the true story. In just the past 5 years, sales have taken a staggering hit. Jeep, Dodge, and Chrysler are down by 39%. Dodge's numbers are concerning. In particular, brace yourself. They've faced a jaw-dropping 67% decline since their peak in 2013. Jeep isn't coming out unscathed either. Can you wrap your head around that? This figure marks the lowest sales they've recorded in over 10 years. Dealerships are feeling the strain as consumers gravitate toward brands that offer more appealing options. Interest in new vehicle launches is waning, leaving potential buyers feeling uninspired. And let's not even get started on inventory issues. Stellantis is sitting on an enormous pile of unsold cars, 1.4 million new vehicles to be exact, just hanging out and accumulating dust. That's a massive issue if you think about it. How did they end up with such a backlog? Initially, after grappling with supply chain shortages, Stellantis ramped up production to boost inventory, but as demand changed and sales dipped, they found themselves with an excess of vehicles that are now challenging to move. Adding to the inventory concerns, many of these cars are older models, outdated and out of sync with what today's consumers are after, particularly in competitive segments like mid-size SUVs. Stellantis brands are facing long-standing days supply numbers, which means their cars are languishing on dealer lots far longer than what's typical in the industry. Now, you might be wondering how Stellantis got tangled in this mess. It's a cocktail of flawed strategies, shifting consumer preferences, and unfortunately, a lack of robust backing from their manufacturer. The Stellantis National Dealer Council is raising red flags and directly pointing fingers at CEO Carlos Tavares. But why exactly? In a letter that dates back to September 10, 2024, the Dealer Council pulled no punches. They pointed out that Tavares' strategies seem to lean heavily toward quick financial wins rather than nurturing long-term growth. Sure, his tactics might have given profits a temporary lift, enough to pad his paycheck quite nicely, but dealers are expressing their deep concerns. They argue that this short-term mindset is causing chaos for brand value and market share. The Dealer Council warns that if this path continues, disaster could be looming on the horizon. And guess what? They believe we're already witnessing the fallout from these decisions play out. What makes the situation even graver is that dealers feel they are increasingly isolated while facing an array of mounting challenges. And all of this is happening without the crucial support they need from Stellantis. The council specifically condemned the company for its recent choices to cut marketing budgets and alter compensation policies. Changes they claim are hitting dealer profitability hard. Because of this, many dealers are left with a pile of unsold vehicles taking up space, which opens the door to financial strain and breeding frustration across the dealer network. Speaking of consequences, let's break down the implications. The council pointed out that Tavares' plans for cost reductions, though intended to improve profits, are actually backfiring spectacularly. For instance, tying dealer compensation to vehicle shipments rather than actual sales has left many dealers in a financial lurch. To add to the woes, layoffs and plant closures are also fueling fears regarding the long-term stability of Stellantis' operations here in North America. Now, you might be wondering, what exactly is brewing behind the scenes? Well, let's dig into the core struggles. The main roadblocks boil down to 3 fundamental challenges, and I'm here to lay them out for you clearly. The first gamble. First up, let's dive into the shift away from traditional engines. There's a serious buzz around this engine replacement situation. Stellantis has thrown a huge curveball with the introduction of the Hurricane twin-turbo inline-6 engine. This engine is stepping in to replace the much-loved traditional V8 engines in a few models. The marketing pitch? It promises to deliver better fuel economy and lower emissions while still aiming to keep power levels comparable to those V8s. Sounds promising, right? But wait a minute. It's facing some heavy criticism from both dealers and consumers. Let's talk about consumer preferences for a second. Longtime fans of Dodge and Ram, the ones who've cherished the power and performance of their beloved V8 engines, are understandably feeling uneasy about this pivot to turbocharged 6-cylinder options. There's this nagging worry that these changes could dilute the high-octane driving experience that loyal customers expect from such iconic brands. When you think Dodge or Ram, it's all about that muscle and power. Next, let's consider market reception. The new Hurricane engine isn't just a random update tossed into the mix. It's part of Stellantis' larger ambition to improve fuel efficiency and cut carbon emissions. However, there's a big but here. How will consumers react? Acceptance of this engine switch is still up in the air, especially in a market that holds traditional engine performance in high regard. Will people be ready to embrace this new technology, or will they cling to the nostalgia of those roaring V8s? And then there's the ongoing debate between performance and efficiency. The Hurricane engine is engineered to strike a balance. It comes equipped with 2 low-inertia turbochargers to ensure quick throttle response, along with advanced fuel injection systems that maximize efficiency. But despite all these fancy upgrades, many critics argue that this transition could alienate buyers who are devoted to the traditional V8 experience. This divide has hit sales hard, as potential buyers weigh their options against competitors that are still rolling out those muscle-packed powerful V8 engines. So, as you can see, the landscape of the automotive industry is shifting dramatically, and both dealers and consumers are caught in the crossfire of this evolution. Will Stellantis find a way to bridge this gap and keep its loyal customer base intact? That's a question worth pondering as the drama unfolds. But we need to move on to the second factor: a dead end. See, Stellantis is finding itself in a tight spot, and it's all about the company's struggles to adjust its incentive spending. This is a crucial issue. While other automakers are cranking up their discounts and financing deals to boost sales, Stellantis seems to be holding back on promotions. This keeps their dealers in a tough situation, feeling a little stranded in an increasingly competitive market. This is bad for dealers because they're facing rising financial pressures as unsellable inventory piles up, high and fast. Combine this with insufficient support from Stellantis, and it looks like a perfect storm of challenges brewing. Many dealers have been vocal about how overwhelming the costs are for holding on to all that unsold stock, which could potentially lead them to significant losses. Just imagine the stress of watching inventory sit idle, gathering dust instead of rolling off the lot. On top of all this, there's a loud call for more support from Stellantis. The National Dealer Council is not holding back. They're urging the company to enhance its incentive programs. Why is this so essential? Because boosting these programs could help clear out that excess inventory and give dealers a fighting chance in today's tricky market landscape. If Stellantis doesn't step up its game with more compelling incentives, there's real worry among dealers that the unsold vehicle pileup will continue, further crushing their profitability. The current situation is precarious, and it's abundantly clear that something needs to shift to help these dealers find solid ground once again. In response, the company has opted to raise vehicle prices. The thinking here? It's all about maintaining those all-important profit margins, even when demand is shrinking. But as a result, affordability issues are hitting consumers hard. Higher vehicle prices are intimidating potential buyers, especially in today's climate where wallets are becoming tighter. With rising interest rates and a backdrop of economic uncertainty, shoppers are becoming choosy about how they spend their hard-earned money. Why would anyone want to fork out extra cash for a thing you can get with so little if you just choose another brand? It just doesn't make sense. With prices climbing and sales nosediving, it creates a perfect recipe for disaster that no one wants to witness. Now, you might be asking yourself, how bad can it really be? Well, just look at each of the brands under Stellantis. Jeep. Jeep is facing a whole host of challenges that have seriously impacted their sales and brand reputation. One of the biggest issues is the drastic decline in sales. After hitting a high of around 972,227 vehicles sold in 2018, Jeep has seen a jaw-dropping 44% drop, all the way down to just 642,924 vehicles sold in 2023. That's the lowest sales figure for the brand in over a decade. And it's not just a one-off. Jeep has been on a continuous downward slide with a 6.1% year-over-year decrease as of mid-2023. This is despite the overall new vehicle market actually seeing an increase in sales. Compounding the sales slump is Jeep's struggle with excess inventory. As of mid-2023, dealerships were sitting on a 77-day supply, way above the national average of 53 days. This means they're just not able to shift all those Jeeps off the lot efficiently, leading to more pressure on pricing and promotions. It's not just an immediate sales problem either. This inventory backlog is really hurting Jeep's long-term market positioning too. Another major headache for Jeep is the erosion of brand loyalty. The percentage of Jeep owners who trade in for another Jeep has dropped from 47% in 2019 all the way down to just 43% by mid-2023. That's a clear sign of growing dissatisfaction among existing customers, who are increasingly drawn to competing brands that might offer more appealing features or better value. Losing that once fierce Jeep loyalty is a really worrying trend. The product lineup itself is creating issues too. Models like the Cherokee and Renegade are underperforming and feeling outdated to consumers. Plus, discontinuing the Cherokee has left some gaps in the range that Jeep needs to fill with fresh, enticing new offerings. On top of that, there's a rising tide of complaints about reliability and quality problems across various Jeep vehicles. Customers are reporting some serious issues with the latest models, which is seriously damaging perceptions of the brand's overall quality. And Jeep is facing fierce competition from upstart rivals too. The Ford Bronco has emerged as a formidable challenger, luring away former Jeep devotees with its impressive features and capabilities. This surge of competition is really piling the pressure on Jeep to innovate and improve their vehicles to hang on to existing fans and attract new buyers. Jeep's pricing strategy has also come under scrutiny. The brand has tried to position itself as a premium offering, but the higher price tags just aren't landing with consumers when quality seems to be dropping. This has alienated both loyal customers and potential new buyers who are looking for better value elsewhere. And while Jeep's nostalgic marketing campaigns try to play up their rugged image, these efforts may not be enough to overcome the underlying product issues that are hurting customer satisfaction and loyalty. In response to all these challenges, Jeep's CEO Carlos Tavares has acknowledged the need for operational improvements during earnings calls. He's emphasized that parent company Stellantis is aiming to enhance efficiency and tackle those nagging operational issues more effectively. The goal is to regain market share and rebuild consumer confidence, but it doesn't seem like it is working for them. Just look at this next beloved brand. Dodge. Dodge finds itself in quite the predicament these days, struggling with some serious challenges related to its inventory and product strategy. These issues are causing noticeable ripples in its overall performance and the critical relationship it maintains with its dealers. So what's the root of all this trouble? Well, there's a lot to unpack. First up, let's talk about the excessive inventory that's causing headaches for everyone involved. One vehicle that stands out as a major problem is the Dodge Hornet. This little compact SUV has quickly become one of the least popular options on the automotive market, and it's pretty obvious why. As of June 2024, there was an astonishing supply of about 550 days worth of Hornets just sitting on dealer lots. Can you imagine? It suggests that these vehicles aren't exactly flying off the shelves anytime soon. On top of that, the competition in the compact SUV segment is cutthroat. Shoppers have a plethora of alternatives that deliver better value, which makes the Hornet look less appealing. When we take a closer look at market performance, the sales figures are a clear indicator of the disconnect happening here. Dodge managed to sell only around 1,283 units in the last 45 days. That staggering number highlights a significant gap between what Dodge is offering and what consumers actually want. As a result, dealers are left with a mountain of unsold Hornets, which places a heavy financial burden on them. They're stuck racking up costs just by holding inventory that nobody seems interested in buying. Now, let's throw electrification into the mix. Dodge is making moves toward electrification, but let's be honest, it's a mixed bag of reactions from both consumers and dealers. They've announced plans to transition from traditional favorites like the Charger and Challenger to electrified versions such as the Dodge Charger Daytona SRT. This shift aligns with the industry's broader focus on sustainability and eco-friendliness, but it hasn't exactly won over the loyal fan base that adores those roaring engines and muscle car performances. Speaking of the fan base, many die-hard Dodge enthusiasts are feeling quite uneasy about this shift to electrification. The raw power and adrenaline rush that once made these muscle cars legendary just don't translate in the same way to the newer electrified models. There's a lingering concern that these changes may lack the exhilarating driving experience that longtime supporters have come to expect, which has left some feeling disappointed and skeptical about Dodge's direction. And let's not forget the strong demand for traditional models. Despite the clear appetite for classic muscle cars, it seems like Dodge's current strategy is completely overlooking this crucial segment. By discontinuing iconic models without providing suitable replacements, Dodge is inadvertently leaving many loyal customers feeling disregarded and neglected, almost as if they've been tossed aside like old toys. Dealers are raising their voices loud and clear about their concerns regarding Dodge's product strategy. They're feeling the financial pinch, as many find themselves unable to meet the needs of customers due to a significant lack of desirable inventory. This disconnect between the dealership and the corporate strategy is leading to declining sales numbers and growing dissatisfaction among dealers. It's a tough situation where they feel like they're juggling a losing game with strategies that just don't resonate with what's happening in the reality of sales and consumer preferences. But it is not just the American brands. Let me explain. Maserati. Maserati is really going through it right now. Their sales and profitability have taken a nosedive, leaving their parent company Stellantis seriously concerned. Just in the first half of 2024, global Maserati sales plummeted over 50%, from 15,300 units down to a measly 6,500. That's led to a staggering adjusted operating loss of 82 million euros, or around $88 million. Quite the contrast to the 121 million euros, or $130 million profit they were reporting just a year earlier. Clearly, Maserati needs to act fast to turn this ship around. One of the big issues seems to be their marketing strategy, or lack thereof. Stellantis CEO Carlos Tavares has straight up admitted that the sales slump is mainly due to Maserati struggling to effectively connect with potential customers. He reckons they've got the right cars and tech, they just can't seem to get the messaging right, so Maserati really needs to step up their game when it comes to boosting their visibility and engaging their target audience. Their aging product lineup isn't helping either. They've discontinued some key models like the Ghibli, Quattroporte, and Levante, which has really taken a toll on sales. The Grecale is their only high-volume model left, but even that's seen a 42% drop in European sales. Without fresh new offerings to get people excited, Maserati is really missing out, and the transition to electric vehicles is proving to be another major headache. While they've got plans for some new EV models in the next few years, the rollout has been painfully slow. The electric Levante successor isn't even scheduled until 2027, and a new Quattroporte won't arrive until 2028. In a market that's going crazy for EVs, Maserati is really struggling to keep up, but it doesn't stop there. Profitability is another huge concern. Maserati's profit margins have plummeted from 9.2% in early 2023 down to just 1.9% by the end of the year. Yikes. Tavares has made it crystal clear, if Maserati can't turn a profit soon, they may be facing the chopping block. Looking ahead, the future of the Maserati brand is pretty uncertain. Stellantis has said they're committed to the brand, but there are signs that some serious strategic changes may be necessary if the performance doesn't improve. Tavares has hinted that when it comes to Maserati's future, the leadership may have to take a long, hard look at what's best. This is definitely a make-or-break moment for Maserati. They've got their work cut out for them, but with the right moves, they could turn things around and regain their spot as a true heavy hitter in the luxury car world. But what about Ram trucks? Well, the pricing and model offerings for Ram trucks have become quite the conundrum for consumers recently. With the discontinuation of popular models and the unavoidable rise in prices due to the incorporation of advanced technology, shoppers are left scratching their heads. One major change that stands out is the removal of the beloved Ram 1500 Classic from the lineup. This change is no small matter. For many shoppers, the Classic was the dependable pickup that balanced reliability with affordability. Its absence means that buyers now need to grapple with a significantly higher starting price for the 2025 Ram 1500, which begins at a staggering $42,270. That's not just a minor increase. It's a considerable jump from the $40,700 price price tag of the now gone classic. This situation leaves budget-conscious buyers in a really tight spot, as their previously accessible option has vanished into thin air. So how does this shift impact affordability? The axing of the Ram 1500 Classic raises genuine concerns about the overall accessibility of the Ram truck lineup. With prices climbing and no budget-friendly substitutes in sight, consumers who are keen on keeping their finances in check are starting to feel the pinch. Many might find themselves eyeing competitor brands that offer more appealing price points for their entry-level models. It's almost like a chain reaction. One important change creates a ripple effect that could ultimately push buyers away from Ram trucks altogether. And the latest versions, especially the 2025 Ram 1500, come loaded with all sorts of high-tech features and fancy technology that are designed to supercharge both performance and comfort. For example, consider the introduction of the Hurricane engine family. This remarkable lineup replaces the old-school V8s with a cutting-edge twin-turbo inline-6 engine, promising not just extra power but also improved fuel efficiency. But here's the catch. All this innovation comes with a price bump that impacts the cost of all models. Let's take a moment to break down the pricing landscape for the various trim options available with the 2025 Ram 1500. The entry-level tradesman model starts at around $42,270, but that's just scratching the surface. If you're eyeing something a bit more luxurious, like the opulent tungsten model, be ready to cough up around $89,070. And if you want to experience the pinnacle of performance, the breathtaking Ram 1500 TRX kicks off at an eye-popping $98,335. Now that's a big investment for anyone looking to buy a truck. Now, how are consumers responding to all these shifts in pricing and model availability? With the prices climbing and evidence showing a concerning 20% drop in Ram sales, many potential buyers are definitely feeling the squeeze. Economic uncertainties, like inflation and rising interest rates, hang over the market, creating an atmosphere of hesitation among those who might consider purchasing a new truck. This pressure can lead buyers to either postpone their decisions or delve into options that promise better value for their hard-earned money. And speaking of competition, while Ram is increasing its prices, other brands like Ford and Chevrolet are playing their cards wisely in the automotive landscape by offering their trucks at more attractive starting prices. For instance, you can snag a Ford F-150 for just $38,960. With deals like that floating around, it's easy to see why shoppers might feel tempted to explore these appealing alternatives rather than sticking with Ram. What does this all mean for the pricing strategy of Ram? As their trucks get pricier and the more affordable options start to disappear, they may inadvertently be nudging potential buyers right out of the door. The situation has turned into a numbers game, where a decline in sales could have significant consequences for Ram standing in an intensely competitive market. Will they be able to bounce back, or will they find themselves slipping further and further behind? Tell us your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.